Okay, so remember our previous discussion on user ID concept? User ID after wildfire discussion, you can go for next topic. It's called user ID. In Palo Alto, you can say user ID concept. This one, remember why we need user ID concept? Ajit,
Yeah.
why we need user ID concept? For full visibility. For full visibility, you can go with user ID concept. Let's discuss this topic again. User
Okay.
in Palo Alto, you can say user ID. In Cisco FTD, you can say firewall authentication concept. So let's discuss why we need user ID concept. So this is what next generation firewall feature. User ID is it's a next generation firewall feature. So here we have a Palo Alto firewall device, for example, and this side is a LAN machine. LAN machine. This side is outside network, WAN side. Okay, so onto this inside machine, we are using 192.168.10.10, for example, and this is outside server. Here we are using 8.8.8.8. So as per security policy, traffic is trying to travel from LAN to WAN side, and yes, we have a security policy rule. Okay, Adit, remember our security policy rule configuration?
Yeah.
What we
Yes,
can
sir.
define in security policy? We can define source
Source or zone, destination zone,
zone, right?
server side. Yeah.
Then source IP,
Destination zone.
destination zone, and destination IP. We can define. And other parameters, if we can decide, then you can go with allow or deny, right?
Yeah.
You can go with allow or deny. So, for example, as per our task, as per our scenario, our source zone is a LAN zone. LAN zone source IP address is, for example, 192.168.10.0 complete network. Destination zone is WAN zone. Destination IP is any. So as per your security policy rule, for example, this rule name, we are using rule 1, for example, rule 1. So as per rule 1, traffic is going to hit onto the firewall device. Firewall will check source zone, destination zone. Okay, source IP address, destination IP address, then traffic is traveling through the firewall box. Now, so if someone will hit onto the security policy rule, in case if you are trying to verify the log message, if someone will hit on your rule, on your security policy, so in case if you are trying to verify the log message, in log message, you can get only IP address information. You can get source IP address information, you can get destination IP address information, but you don't know which user account. You don't know which user account. What you have, only IP address information.
Yeah.
So you don't have full visibility. You don't know which user account is trying to access malicious application, trying to download malicious file, trying to click on malicious link. So you don't know which user account. You have only IP address information. So for full visibility, what we can do for full visibility, we can go with user ID concept. So here we can create user account. Actually, we have two options. To create user account, we have two options. First, you can go with local database.
Okay.
You can go with local database. It means you can use local storage. You
Okay.
can create user account in Palo Alto firewall local database. In case if you are working if you are working in a small network, so you can go with local database. Okay, in big scenario, in big network, for example, if you are working with remote authentication server, for example, like you have radius server in your scenario, radius server or TechX server or LDAP server. LDAP server. So these are what? These are called remote authentication servers. Clear my point? These
Okay.
are called remote authentication. So see, these options we are using when we are working in a big scenario, big network. For example, 500 users account, 1000 user account. So you can go with a remote authentication server. Otherwise, in a small network, in a small scenario, you can go with local database. You can create user account in local database. So now my point is we can create user account, and these user account we can attach with our policy. So if you remember your policy configuration, so in policy configuration we have a tab, it's called user tab. Okay, you
Okay.
can define your source zone and source IP address. After that, you can define source user information. So for example, into this policy, I'm trying to add source user information. Source user, it's a user one, for example. So if user one is trying to hit traffic onto this firewall device, firewall will check complete information. Firewall will check IP address information, user information, source zone, destination zone, and now traffic is traveling. As per your security policy, traffic is traveling. This time you have user account information with IP address. You have user account information. Now you know which user account is trying to access Facebook application or YouTube application, or trying to click on a malicious link. So for full visibility, we can go with a user ID concept. This concept is called user.
User ID.
Clear now, Ajit?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have two options for user ID concept. We have two options. First, you can create user account, and you can attach user account in your policy. And second lab we have here, it's called captive portal. In user ID, you can go with second lab, it's called captive portal. Any idea about captive portal,
No,
Ajit?
sir. No.
Okay, see, captive portal is a common concept for any next generation firewall box. It's a common concept. So in
Okay.
case if you are working with captive portal concept, then what will happen? See, if this inside machine is trying to hit onto this LAN interface, this interface is fast Ethernet 0/0. So if this LAN machine is trying to hit onto this LAN interface, LAN zone interface, then firewall will provide him a captive portal page. Why it's required? Why we need captive portal concept? See, why we need. So let's discuss a scenario. Why we need captive portal uh, concept here. See, for example, this inside machine, he's trying to hit with wrong username and password. For example, he's trying with user 50 and password, but user 50 information is not available in Palo Alto firewall. For example, okay, for example,
Okay.
user 50 information is not available in Palo Alto. But if you remember your policy concept in Palo Alto firewall box, if you remember security policy concept, if any traffic is going to hit onto the firewall device, then firewall will check traffic information into every firewall policy, right?
Yeah.
Remember security policy rule concept. If
Yeah.
any traffic is going to hit on firewall device, firewall will check traffic information into every firewall policy. So firewall will check source IP information, source zone information, destination IP address information, destination zone information, and user account information. So let's take an example. You have 500 firewall policy, for example. You have 500 firewall policy. So now this time firewall is trying to verify, or trying to check this user 50 information into every firewall policy, and user 50 is not available. See, inside machine is trying to hit with the wrong username and password. So it's not available. So if you remember, we have an implicit denial rule.
Yeah.
We have
No.
implicit denial rule, right?
Yeah.
One implicit denial. It's a default rule. If you remember, default rule, interzone communication default rule. It's called implicit denial rule. So it will try to it will firewall will check this traffic information into every security policy. If it is not available, so it will go and check into the implicit deny rule, and yes, as per implicit deny rule, deny. any user, any source, any IP is denied. So this traffic is denied. This inside machine cannot access. But my point is, you are creating overhead on your firewall device. You are creating overhead. You are creating load on your firewall device. See, this inside machine is trying to hit with user 50, right, Ajit?
Okay. Okay.
So if this inside machine will hit with user number 50, then firewall will check this user 50 information into every security policy. So it will do some processing, right? It
Hmm.
will do some processing background. It will check this user account information into every security policy. So it will do some process in background, right? After
Yeah.
see after verify user information, yes, traffic is denied. Traffic is not traveling. Okay, no problem. Traffic is denied. But your firewall is trying to check this user information into every security policy. You are creating overhead on your firewall device. Clear my point?
Yeah.
That is the issue. That is the issue. That's why we are using captive portal concept. We are using captive portal concept. It's a common concept. You can go in Fortinet, you can go in Checkpoint, or you can go in Cisco FTD. It's a captive portal page. It's a default page. It's a common concept, you can say. So if you are using captive portal concept on Palo Alto firewall device, so this time, if this inside machine is trying to hit onto this firewall device, then firewall will provide him a captive portal page first.
Okay.
Palo Alto firewall box will provide this inside to this inside user a captive portal page. It's a HTML file, okay? Okay, so Palo Alto will provide a captive portal page. In captive portal page, this inside user, it need to authenticate with username and password. So you need to authenticate first with his username and password. If he's authenticated successfully by Palo Alto firewall box, after that firewall will check this traffic information into security policy. So with
Okay.
captive portal, okay, with captive portal, you are trying to decrease your overhead. Clear my point? If inside machine is trying to hit onto the LAN interface, firewall will not check traffic information into security policy. Firewall will provide him first a captive portal page. So he need to authenticate first with his username and password. If he is authenticated successfully, after that, Palo Alto firewall box will check this traffic information into security policy after successful authentication through captive portal page. Clear?
Okay.
Why we are
Th-
using
th-
captive portal?
Okay. This is a background process, right?
Yes,
It's like, okay.
yes, background process. Yes,
Okay. Before checking the security policy,
yes,
so
yes,
the firewall box will verify the user ID.
yes, exactly. Yes, firewall is not. See, I told you the scenario is what maybe this inside user he's trying with wrong username and password, right?
Okay. Okay.
And if he's trying with wrong username and password, then firewall will check this traffic information into every security policy. Yes, this user information is not available in security policy. It's a deny. Perfect. It's deny. But your firewall is trying to check this user information in every security policy. So you have 500 firewall policy. Firewall is going to check this user account information into 500 firewall policy. This will take time, right?
Time. Yeah.
It will process. It will do some process in background. It will create overhead on your firewall device because this traffic is not valid. That's why what we are using, we are going with captive portal. Captive portal we are using for guest user, you can say, okay? You can use
Okay.
for guest user or you can use for your LAN user. Every time if they are trying to initiate traffic, they need to authenticate first. After that, they can utilize network resources or internet services. Clear now, Ajit, this concept?
Yeah. Okay.
So for user account, we can use two databases, right? We can go with
Local.
local database,
It,
or in case if you have any remote authentication server, so yes, you can integrate your firewall device.
okay.
I will show
So
you.
you,
Yes.
okay. You just said you guest account. How the guest account will work?
Sorry.
Guest account, something
See,
you
see,
said,
see.
right?
Yes, the user account is available in local database.
Okay.
Yes.
or
User account is available in your local database. Okay.
yeah, I got it that one.
You will
But
you as a firewall administrator, you will provide a username and password to guest user. Please log in with this username and password.
okay, okay,
For example, if guest user, for example, is a guest user, okay, and he has a laptop, okay, and he's trying to, here's a switch, he's trying to plug this cable here, okay, and now he's trying to access network resources like internet services. So he will get a captive portal page first. So you as a firewall administrator, you will provide a username and password. Clear? You need to authenticate first. After that, traffic is traveling through the firewall box.
okay,
Clear now?
okay, yeah, clear.
Okay. So for I hope this concept is clear. So let's go on to the implementation. Let me show you. Here we have a small topology. Please wait 5 minutes because it's a new firewall device. So I need to configure IP address on management port. Wait.
Okay, okay.
199.199.199.10. Yes, we are using same series of IP address. Please wait.
Okay.
First, I will do the basic configuration. Okay, LAN interface and WAN interface configuration. Ajit.
Okay.
After that, we can go for user ID concept. Please wait. Reed, can you hear me?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, great. I'm trying to configure LAN interface and WAN interface, Ethernet 1/1 and 1/2.
Okay.
Interface type L3, virtual router, I'm using default. Security zone, we can create LAN zone. 1/1 we are using as a LAN interface. IPv4 address, a static IP address configuration. And 200.200.1, 200.200.1/24. Now advanced management profile, MGMT, ping service. WAN zone, IP address through DSCP. Management profile, MGMT. Okay, Ajit, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's go on to the topic. So this will take time. So how to create user account in local database? So you can click on device. You can click on device and see for testing, I will create a user account in local database. But yes, I will show you how to integrate our firewall device with any remote authentication server. Okay, Jit.
Okay, okay, okay.
Let's create user account in local database. For example, I'm working a small network. So yes, in Palo Alto, this option is available. Local user database. So you can create user account, you can create group account, and these user account you can use in a policy, you can use in a VPN configuration like remote access VPN configuration. So let's create your
Okay,
user account. You can click on users, you can click on add. So user account, user one, password 123 123 123 45678 123 45678. Let's create another user account. So user2, password 123456781234567 1234567 In case if you want to create a group account, like you want to combine multiple users and create a group, so yes, you can decide here. For example, user1 and user2. Okay, these users are in marketing group, for example. So you can create group here. You can click on user groups. You can click on add. You can provide a group name, for example, marketing hyphen GRP. You can click on add. So yes, we have two user account, user1 and user2. So
two.
yes, we have a group. So you can create user or you can combine multiple users and can put into a group. Now, so these user accounts, user1 and user2 account, it's available in local database. Ajit, clear?
Okay, okay, yeah, clear, sir.
Now, if you remember your policy configuration, in policy configuration, if you click on add option to create any security policy rule. So in policy rule, what you can define source zone information. Wait, you can define source zone information, right? Source IP
Yeah,
address information, destination zone information, destination IP address information. And now you can see here is a tab. Here is a tab is called user tab.
user.
So in policy, you can add user account information for full visibility. You can add. So by default, this option is selected. What?
Any.
Any user. If you want to attach any specific user account, so yes, you can. You can select. You can click on here and you can select your user account information. You can click on add. Clear, Ajit?
Okay, okay,
In security policy, you can add your user account information. Okay, let's go on to the device again. Okay, let's go on to the device. And in device tab, we can define database. We can define our local database or remote authentication database. You can decide or you can define. See, here is a tab is called authentication profile.
okay,
You can create authentication profile here. In authentication profile, you can define your database. For example, you want to use local database, or in case if you want to use remote authentication server database, you can decide here. You can decide in authentication profile. So you can click on add, and right now I'm creating database uh, authentication profile for local database. So you can give a name for this authentication profile. Let's call local database. Just a name.
okay, okay,
Just a name. Local database. Now here you can decide. You can select your type option. If you click on here, you can see multiple options are available. You can go with local database. You can go with Radius. You can go with LDAP. You can go with TechX server. So if you have any remote authentication servers like Radius, LDAP, or TechX, you can decide. Right
okay,
now, I am creating this
Local data.
authentication profile for local database. I want to use local database, so you can select local data. In local database, you can click on advanced, and now you can define user account information into this authentication profile. So in local database, I want to use user one and user two, or otherwise you can select group account, no problem. User
Okay.
one and user two, you can click on OK. So this is for database. In case if you have any remote authentication server, for example, in your control plane side, for example, this side, here is a switch, okay? Here's a switch, and we have remote authentication servers like Radius server. Here we are using 199.199.199.150 IP address. So if you want to integrate your Radius server with Palo Alto Firewall, you can. See how to configure Radius server. This is not our task, Ajit. For
Okay.
Radius server configuration, for TechX server configuration, for LDAP server configuration, we have separate administrator. Okay. We have
Okay.
separate administrator for Radius server configuration, for TechX server configuration, or for LDAP configuration. See, Radius and TechX, these are remote authentication protocol. Ajit.
Okay.
Radius and TechX. Actually, we have two remote authentication protocol, Radius and TechX.
Tickets.
If,
Okay.
if, if, if you are using a Radius server here, if you are using Radius protocol here, so this server is acting as a Radius server. Clear? If
Yeah.
you are using TechX protocol here, so it means this server is acting as a TechX server. Clear?
Yeah.
And these options, TechX or Radius, we can use in ICE. In Cisco, we have a separate device for a remote authentication server, or for authentication, or for AAA implementation. In Cisco, we are using a dedicated appliance. It's called ICE, Identity Service Engine. I'm only giving you idea, okay?
Okay.
So, so how to configure Radius server, how to configure TechX server? It's a Radius server administrator responsibility. He can configure, he can create user account, he can define authorization information, he can define accounting information. What you can do as a firewall administrator, administrator, so you can create entry. You can create entry for this Radius server on your Palo Alto firewall device. Clear now, my point?
Yeah.
So now see, if Radius server, administrator will create entry, if this administrator will create an entry for client, see, into this scenario, this Radius is acting as a server, and your Palo Alto firewall device, your router, your switch, these devices are acting as a Radius client. So what you can do, Radius server administrator will create entry for Radius client. So when Radius
Okay.
server administrator will create an entry for Radius client, for example, administrator will create an entry for this Palo Alto firewall box. When he will create an entry, so he will define a secret key. For example, he's using secret key CCNP. Same secret key you need to configure on your Palo Alto firewall device. You need
Okay.
to configure same secret key on your Palo Alto firewall device, or you can say to create a relationship in between Radius server and Radius client, we need secret key. Clear?
Yeah.
So now see, you can go on your Palo Alto firewall device, and in case if you want to create Radius server entry, it's a very simple task. Very simple task. See, if you want to create, first you can verify your connectivity. First, you can verify your connectivity from Palo Alto firewall box with Radius server. If connectivity is available, then you can click on authentication profile. Here you can give a name, for example, remote database, type is Radius, and now see, is asking for server profile.
Profile. Okay.
So you need to create an entry for Radius server. So You can create a radius server profile. You can click on radius profile. Here you can create a profile. For example, SRV1. You can give any name here.
Okay.
You can give any. Now you can click on add. You can add server information. You can add server information. For example, SRV, or you can say server one. It's just a name. Now here you can define radius server IP address
Okay.
199, 199, 199, 150. And now see, asking for secret key. I told you, to create a relationship in between radius server and radius client, we need secret key, right? We need
Okay.
secret key. So for example, secret key, we are using CCNP. You can click on, okay. Clear now? I
Yeah.
want, you can create. So like this, you can create your profile. You can create your profile, and this profile you can add here. You can create radius profile. You can create TechX profile. You can create LDAP profile. Ajit,
Okay.
clear now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you have a remote authentication server database, for example, if you have a radius server and TechX server, for example, and you are using local database, so you can go with authentication sequence. You can go with authentication sequence. For example, in my network, I have radius server, okay, TechX server, and I'm also using local database. So you can decide authentication sequence. For example, if any traffic, if this inside machine is trying to hit onto this firewall device, firewall will check user account information on radius server first. If radius server is not available, maybe it's down. If it is not available, then please check user account information in TechX server. Clear? If TechX not
Okay.
available, so please check user account information in local database. So you can decide your authentication sequence here. Ajit, clear
Okay.
now?
Okay.
Clear now? My point.
Yeah. Clear.
So
Clear. Yes, sir.
you can click on authentication sequence, and you can click on add, and here you can decide. Here you can
Okay.
decide. You can attach all authentication profile here. Once you attach, for example, once you attach, now you can decide move up, move down. So you can go with sequence here. Clear now? So first
Okay.
it will check first, for example, here we have radius information. Here we have a radius information, then local database, then TechX. So this is the sequence. First it will check radius, then local database, and then TechX. So you can go with authentication sequence. Clear now my point?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Now, so our first level is what? You can create policy, and in policy, you can attach your user account. Let's create NAT policy first because we are trying to initiate some traffic. So let's create NAT policy for translation. I'm using PAT option. So PAT rule original packet. So traffic is coming from LAN side and trying to go on WAN side, destination interface 1/2, any source user, any source address, any destination address, translated packet. I'm using dynamic IP import, interface address, and now interface 1/2. You can click on OK. Let's create security policy. So you can create security policy to allow your traffic. Okay, so a rule, you can create a rule. So rule 1, rule type is interzone communication rule, source zone. Source traffic is coming from LAN side, any source address. Right now I'm using any source user. Ajit, clear?
Yeah.
Destination I'm using WAN side, any application, any service URL category. Okay, then action is allow. So traffic is traveling through the firewall box. Let's commit our configuration. So first option, you can add user account information into your policy, or you can go with captive portal concept, Ajit.
Okay.
How to configure captive portal? So you can click on device. It's a very simple task. You can click on device. You can click on user identification here. You can click on user identification. In user identification, you can click on captive portal setting. And now you can click on here, edit. You can see captive portal option is enabled here, Ajit.
Okay.
And you can see idle timer and timer. So what is timer? See, through captive portal, if any user will authenticate, for example, user one will authenticate through captive portal page. So he's only allowed for 60 minutes. He's only allowed for 60 minutes to access resources. Clear now my point? It's a
Okay.
default timer in captive portal. If someone will authenticate via captive portal page, so he can only access he can only access network resources for 60 minutes. After 60 minutes, he need to authenticate again. He need to re-authenticate again. Clear? You
Okay.
can,
Clear.
if you want to change this timer, you can. If you want to change, you can. Idle timer, if someone will authenticate through captive portal page and he's doing nothing, so it will automatically log out and you need to re-authenticate again. So idle timer is 15 minutes and timer is 16 minutes. Clear now?
Okay.
Into
Clear.
this captive portal page, you can attach your authentication profile information. Authentication profile. So
So what we created? Okay.
yes, yes. If you have local database authentication profile, Redis server authentication profile, okay, TechX authentication profile, you can attach. So in our testing scenario, we are using local database. Remember, we have two
Database.
user account, user one
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
user
User
two.
one and two.
So you can attach your authentication profile here. You can redirect your traffic. You can redirect your traffic on your LAN interface 200, 200, 200.1. Now you can click on OK. Done configuration. Now you can commit your configuration. Wait. Please wait. It's working very slow. Please wait.
Okay.
So if any traffic is going to hit on firewall device, I'm trying to redirect on LAN interface. See, LAN interface. See this, here is a LAN interface IP address 200, 201. Why? Because we have a default captive portal page, Ajit.
Okay.
We have a default captive portal page in Palo Alto firewall device. So we can do our testing with this default captive portal page. Now this will take time. So let's move on policy again. And this time we need to create authentication policy. After security policy, after NAT policy, you need to create authentication policy. See, you can click on authentication here. You can click on authentication. You can click on add, and yes, like security policy, like NAT policy, you need to define your source zone, destination zone information into this authentication policy. Wait, it's working very slow. You can give a name for this authentication policy. For example, auth policy. Now source, so traffic is coming from LAN
LAN.
side. User right now any destination is WAN zone, any service or URL category. Okay, service is HTTP. Let's add HTTPS also. So if anyone trying to access HTTPS service action, if you click on action, so here we have option authentication enforcement. So here you can decide. Here I'm using web form. This is captive portal page option.
Okay.
Ajit, you can
Okay.
select web form, default web form. You can click on OK. You can click on commit. So this will take time. So let's go on to this inside machine. Inside
Okay.
machine, and I'm trying to configure IP address as per our topology. IP address configuration. So 200 need 200 IP address we are using on LAN machine. Let's configure here ncpa.cpl IP address properties. 200, 200, 225 gateway DNS entry. You can create 8.8.8. You can click on OK. You can click on close. IP config. Let's verify IP config information. Yes, if I'm trying to ping gateway first, so I can ping gateway. Okay. Now let's go on to this machine. Okay, here we are getting a warning message. Ajit,
Okay.
we are getting a warning message. Please enable this service. Service is what? On LAN zone, you have to enable this checkbox, enable a user identification. Okay, no problem. Let's go on to the network tab. Oh, sorry. Yes, we can create zone. Network tab, you can click on zone and you can click on LAN zone. And you need to enable this checkbox, enable
Oh, okay.
user identification on LAN zone. You can click on OK. And you can also go on management profile. So here we have interface management profile. So in management profile, you need to enable two services, user ID and response page. You can click on OK. Now let's commit our configuration. So this time, Ajit, can you hear me?
Yeah.
This time
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to initiate my traffic. I'm trying to initiate my traffic from this LAN machine. For example, google.com, facebook.com. Wait. So this traffic will go and hit onto the firewall LAN interface. Wait. Let's commit this configuration first. Now, so wait, let's initiate our traffic. If I'm trying to access any website or something, okay, I will get a
Okay.
captive portal page. Wait, I will get a captive portal page first. I need to authenticate first. After that, I can access network resources. I can travel through the firewalls. So I'm trying to access google.com, for example. Google.com. So this inside page will get a captive portal page first. Okay, I'm trying to access Ajit google.com. Remember?
Okay.
But
Okay.
see, but
Yeah.
see, I'm getting a portal page. See,
Authentication.
cannot access google.com. I need to authenticate first. Clear now my point?
Okay.
So remember our two user account in local database, user
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a user one information. I'm on local machine. So I'm trying to insert this user information. So user one, I have a password 1234567 8. This traffic will go and hit onto the firewall device, and we are using local database in captive portal configuration. Remember? So
Yeah.
firewall will check this user account information. If it is available, if it is successfully authenticated, then you can access network resource. See, I can access
Network.
.com this time. Clear now this topic, this concept?
Yeah. But then
Mhm.
this time we use the local database. That's why it's asked the username and password, right?
Yes, yes.
So if you use the LDAP, it
LDAP.
we used, yeah,
LDAP.
LDAP.
So you
We
can
have to.
only you need to define here. If you are using LDAP server, so first you can create authentication profile. Okay, authentication profile for LDAP server. After that, in captive portal setting, here you can attach your database. Authentication profile you
Okay.
can attach.
Okay. Okay.
It's see, it's just a database, Ajit.
Okay.
See,
So
for a small
what
network,
what
for a small network, you can go with local database.
okay.
But big
The what
network,
purpose we redirect the host address? We
see,
just use that.
if traffic is going to hit onto the LAN zone, okay, so I
Okay.
want to redirect on far because see, here into this topology, I have captive portal page, and this page is available on Palo Alto Firewall.
Yeah.
If you have a captive portal page on a server, on another server, okay, for example, in your network, in your LAN site, here you have a server, your captive portal page, a separate captive portal page where you have your company logo or something, okay, some messages in your captive portal page. So you can define complete direction on in Palo Alto firewall device. But right now we are using default captive portal page, which is available in Palo Alto firewall device. So that's why I'm
Okay.
using a redirect on Palo Alto. This is Palo Alto LAN interface IP address.
LAN intro. Okay.
Yeah. If you have, if you have a server, okay, if you have for example, this is server captive portal server one, okay, SRV1. Here you have onto the server. Here you have captive portal page. It's a custom page, Ajit. So you
Okay.
can define. Let me show you. For example, I think I have some information how to define. You can define domain name, okay, then slash folder, okay, like this. Like
Okay.
this is the format. For example, you can define the path like slash uh, xyz.com domain name slash folder, okay, folder, then captive portal. For example, your HTML file is available in captive folder. So you can define full path here. Here we have a IP address information. We have captive portal page in Palo Alto firewall box. That's why I'm using 200, 201. Otherwise, you can define full path like this. This is the format. Slash
Okay.
XYZ domain name. You can say domain name information. Clear my point,
Yes, sir.
Ajit?
Yeah, yeah.
This is our user ID concept. This is our topic. So this inside machine, now he can access anything, but only for 60 minutes, Ajit.
Okay. Okay.
After 60 minutes, he need to authenticate again to access any network resources. Clear now, Ajit, this topic?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Small concept. It's not a big concept. It's a small concept. This is user ID. If you want to know how to create a entry for TechX or for LDAP, so I can tell you tomorrow, no problem.
Okay.
If you want to know, okay, how to create, for example, in your network, if you have LDAP server, right? So how
Yeah.
to create entry for LDAP server. So we'll discuss tomorrow. Okay,
Okay.
I will tell you. But this is our topic, user ID. I hope
Okay.
it's
Yes, sir.
it's, it's clear for you.
Yeah, I'll just go through video again. If anything is there, I'll ask tomorrow.
Okay. So tomorrow I can tell you how to create entry for LDAP server, and tomorrow
Okay.
we can start. We will discuss our next topic. It's called decryption policy.
Okay.
To decrypt HTTPS traffic, we can create decryption policy in Palo Alto firewall. Actually, we have three options. We can create three type of decryption policy. We'll discuss tomorrow. Okay, Ajit?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Bye, dear. Take care. Good night.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay.